Now let's talk about cyanide versus carbon monoxide poisoning. This is very easy actually. See, anything that ends with IDE will inhibit the complex 4. Okay, IDES. Both inhibits an aerobic metabolism via inhibition of complex 4, that is cytochrome C oxidase, hypoxia unresponsive to supplemental oxygen, and increase anaerobic metabolism. Okay, so no matter how much you give, how much oxygen you give, there will be hypoxia. So this is again a very important point, that this is hypoxia unresponsive to supplemental oxygen and increase in anaerobic metabolism. Can both can lead to pink or cherry red skin, usually post-mortem finding. So carbon monoxide, cyanide, and they both can lead to the pink or cherry red skin, seizure, and coma. Okay, so talking about cyanide poisoning and carbon monoxide poisoning. In cyanide poisoning, byproduct of synthetic product combustion, ingestion of amygdalin. Okay, amygdalin is nothing but cyanogenic glucoside found in the apricot seed or cyanide. Okay, so basically it can come from synthetic product combustion or from the apricot seed in ingestion, or cyanide itself. Okay, treatment is hydroxycobalamin or induced methemoglobinemia with nitrites and sodium thiosulfate. Now how does it work? I have written over here, you see. So what happens, basically, if you give nitrite will generate methemoglobin. Okay, and now this methemoglobin contains Fe3 plus, which binds with the cyanide and pulls the cyanide away from the mitochondria. Okay, remember this. That's why we use nitrite in the cyanide poisoning. Also, hydroxycobalamin, precursor of vitamin B12, directly binds with intracellular cyanide, forming cyanocobalamin, which is readily excreted in the urine. Now, sodium thiosulfate transforms cyanide to thiocyanide indirectly, and then thiocyanate then is excreted. So this is indirect way. Okay, whereas directly occurs in the hydroxycobalamin. So what happens, why it is called indirectly? That the secret is behind this. See, actually what happens is sodium thiosulfate serves as the sulfur donor to promote hepatic rhodamicin mediated conversion of cyanide to thiocyanate, which is renally excreted. In fact, what happens is when you are under cyanide toxicity, the liver tries to convert that cyanide into thiocyanate by the help of rhodamicin. Okay, but rhodamicin needs sulfur group to convert cyanide to thiocyanate, but this sulfur gets overwhelmed by cyanide toxicity. So basically sodium thiosulfate gives the sulfur group to leading the conversion of cyanide to thiocyanate, which can be renally excreted. Okay, so this is how nitrite, hydroxycobalamin, and thiosulfate works. Okay, now talking about manifestations. What are the manifestations? Your sign and symptom is breath has bitter almond odor and has and can cause cardiovascular collapse. Remember that. Effect on oxygen hemoglobin curve. The curve is normal. So how you remember? CN is curve is normal. Oxygen saturation may appear normal initially. Now let us compare this with the carbon monoxide poisoning. In carbon monoxide poisoning, carbon monoxide is an odorless gas from fires, car exhaust, or gas heaters. 100% oxygen or hyperbaric oxygen can be used for treating, and clinical manifestations are headache, dizziness. Multiple individuals may be involved. For example, family while using the fire in the winter. Okay, electric heater, those kind of things can lead to the formation of carbon monoxide. Okay, classically associated with bilateral globus pallidus lesion on MRI, although rarely seen with cyanide toxicity as well. So this is not that specific, but you can see here the globus pallidus lesion. Okay, you see this is the globus pallidus lesion on the MRI, brain MRI. Okay, and this is not very specific because it can also occur in the cyanide and it can also occur in the carbon monoxide. Remember that. So the patient will have a normal pulse oximetry, oxygen saturation, because it cannot tell the difference between oxygen hemoglobin or carboxyhemoglobin. So pulse oximetry is very misleading in this case, because it cannot differentiate between oxyhemoglobin and carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, PaO2 can be normal. Decrease oxygen binding capacity with left shift in curve, so there will be shifting of curve into the left side, decreasing oxygen unloading in the tissue. Okay, binds competitively to hemoglobin with 200 times greater affinity than oxygen to form carboxyhemoglobin. Remember that. Here you can see the oxygen bound to hemoglobin. Normally 100% hemoglobin is bound, but with carbon dioxide only 50% is bound. Okay, so this is that thing. Next, here you can see they are talking about methemoglobin. So methemoglobin is nothing but the oxidized form of hemoglobin, that is ferric form. The ferric form, which is Fe3 plus, does not bind with oxygen as readily as Fe2 plus, but has increased affinity for cyanide. Okay, so iron in hemoglobin is normally in the reduced state, that is Fe2 plus, leads to the tissue hypoxia from the decreased O2 saturation and decreased O2 content. Okay, methemoglobin anemia may present with cyanosis and chocolate colored blood. Okay, so metho is for chocolate, that's how I remembered. Methemoglobin anemia can cause chocolate colored blood. This is very classic for methemoglobin anemia. So nitrates from dietary intake or polluted high altitude water sources. Okay, so not only diet, it can also come from the polluted water, high altitude water. And benzocaine cause poisoning by oxidized Fe2 plus or Fe3 plus. Methemoglobinemia can be treated with methylene blue and vitamin C. So here are some drugs that can cause methemoglobinemia, that is Salman. Okay, as for sulfonamide, A for antimalarials, L for local anesthetics, M for metoclopramide, A for anti-leprosy, and N for nitrites. Okay, so what you need to remember, basically metoclopramide is a special thing over here. Otherwise you can dapsone is also a sulfonamide drug which can cause this methemoglobinemia. But apart from that, dapsone can also lead to hemolysis in G6PD deficiency. Okay, remember that. That is very important. Methemoglobinemia inheritance is autosomal recessive. Okay. Now talking about the oxygen dissociation curve. So oxygen dissociation curve has a sigmoidal shape due to positive cooperativity, that is tetrameric hemoglobin molecule can bind 4 oxygen molecule and has higher affinity for each subsequent oxygen molecule bound. So each time oxygen is bound, it can lead to the more affinity for the next oxygen. Okay, so myoglobin in monomeric and thus does not show positive cooperativity. Curves lack sigmoidal curve. Shifting of the curve to the right, there is decreased hemoglobin affinity for the oxygen, and that's why there will be facilitation towards the unloading of the oxygen to the tissue. This will lead to the increased P50, that is higher PO2 required to maintain the 50% saturation. So P50 is basically the concentration, saturation of partial pressure at which 50% of the hemoglobin gets saturated. Okay, so just imagine if the hemoglobin has less affinity, you need more partial pressure to saturate the 50% of the so this is logical. So more the curve shifts towards the right side, there is more value for the P50. Okay, remember this is very important. Shifting of the curve to the left leads to the decreased oxygen unloading, leading to renal hypoxia, which can lead to the EPO synthesis, leading to compensatory erythrocytosis. Okay, remember that. Fetal hemoglobin has higher affinity for oxygen than adult due to lower affinity for 2,3 ppg, so its dissociation curve is shifted to the left. Now you see these are very important causes that can shift to the right or left side. Now anything that increases H plus, for example, in S or decrease in pH, for example increase PCO2 or exercise or increase 2,3 BPG, all this will lead to the right shift. One thing that you need to remember is that in high altitude, 2,3 BPG increases, okay, in high altitude and also in exercise. So basically it will shift towards the right side. Increase in temperature can also lead to the rightward shift. And sickle cell disease will also decrease the affinity for the oxygen, so there will be increased oxygen unloading in the tissue. So sickle cell disease and PK deficiency can also lead to the rightward shift. What is one special thing that you need to remember in the left shift is that carbon monoxide, okay, carbon monoxide and methemoglobin, both of these will lead to the shifting of oxygen dissociation curve towards the left side. Remember that, okay. But it is very important to mention this, that curve is normal during the cyanide toxicity. Now let us see about the content. Oxygen content is basically 1.34, okay, 1.34 into hemoglobin into saturation, oxygen saturation, plus 0.03 into PaO2. This is a formula that you need to remember. Hemoglobin concentration is Hb, SaO2 is oxygen saturation, and PaO2 is the partial pressure of oxygen in arterial blood, okay. Small a is for arterial. Normally one hemoglobin can bind with 1.34 milliliter of oxygen, so that's why you see hemoglobin is multiplied by 1.34. Normal hemoglobin amounts in blood is 15 gram per deciliter. Oxygen binding capacity is 20 milliliter of oxygen bound to per deciliter of the blood. With decreased hemoglobin, there is decreased oxygen content of the arterial blood, but no change in oxygen saturation. Oxygen delivery to the tissue, cardiac output into oxygen content of the blood. Now talking about different condition, you can see in cyanide toxicity, okay, remember this curve was normal, isn't it? So basically everything here, that hemoglobin concentration, percentage saturation, dissolved oxygen and total oxygen, everything will be normal. And in carbon monoxide poisoning, hemoglobin is normal, obviously, because it will not affect, but saturation will decrease because carbon monoxide competes with oxygen, and dissolved oxygen will not be affected, and there will be decreased content, as it is the addition of dissolved and saturation, okay. So there will be total decrease in oxygen content. Anemia decreases the hemoglobin concentration, saturation will be normal, dissolved oxygen will be normal, but again it will affect the total oxygen content. Polycythemia, there will be increased hemoglobin concentration, but percentage saturation will be normal, dissolved oxygen will be normal, and again the total content will be affected, that is there will be increase, okay, remember this. And in cyanide poisoning, everything will be normal. In high altitude, okay, in high altitude oxygen saturation will be low, dissolved oxygen will also be low, and total oxygen content will be low, and it depends upon the time, okay. Hemoglobin concentration will be high if there is erythropoiesis. If there is hemoglobin concentration will be high if there has been hypoxia induced polycythemia, but it depends on the timing of hiking, okay, how much time it has been that the person has stayed in the altitude, okay, remember that. Heart failure, everything will be normal, okay. And I want to recall one point, that heart failure was also caused by cyanide toxicity, so everything will be normal in cyanide toxicity and also in the heart failure. Very, very, very important concepts.